everyone?
Good.
You just had your first impromptu question. You weren't prepared for me to ask that, but you answered it brightly, enthusiastically, and with great knowledge. When Monica was standing here, the reason I picked on her because I have great respect and admiration for Monica, and she's an easy target. Last week, we had talked about using the stage, and we had decided that the speaking area for the purpose of this room was from this desk all the way down to this desk. Now, Nick is sitting here because he's diseased. So we're going to stay a little further away from Nick. He said he had some laryngitis, and God love you, Nick, you can keep it. So when Monica was standing here doing a wonderful job, but I wanted her to move because last week she said, how can I better use the stage? And I started by saying, how about moving? And obviously that really sunk in because she went from here to here and then back to here. So you must be tired, please sit. But that's why I was picking on Monica. Because honestly, as we talked about a little bit last week, the only way you're going to improve is if you identify what you want to improve on and work on, and then have the support of the others to say, you're still doing what you didn't want to do. So that was because I love you. Last week we spent a lot of time talking, no you didn't. I spent a lot of time talking about whatever I felt like talking about. And when I left, the conversation turned to impromptu speaking. Impromptu speaking is something that seems to scare a lot of people. How many people are here, have concerns or worries about impromptu speaking? Obviously you don't, because I just asked you a question and you answered without any hesitation. I mean, right? I asked you earlier, how are you? Everybody said, great, or fine, or okay, except Nick said, I heard it. You're not afraid of impromptu speaking. You do it all the time. You're no more afraid of impromptu speaking than you are of public speaking. How many people here would say they have a fear of public speaking? Oh, Robert, put your hand down. In fact, you raise your hand. Oh, I am very afraid of public speaking. Look at me over here. Oh, wait, but I'm afraid that you'll look at me and answer me. Oh, no, I'm not scared. Stop it. No one is afraid of public speaking. We do it all the time, and that was my 20 minutes diatribe last week. This time I want to focus on impromptu speaking. What are some of the concerns you have about speaking off the cuff? Anybody, just throw something out. I know you're too nervous to say anything.
Content.
Content. Okay.
How to frame your speech.
Okay. Anybody else have any concerns about? Yes, Robert.
Knowing where I want to go with it, like if someone just thrust me into the conversation, I'm like, okay, what do I actually want to say?
That's a great observation. But if you're asked a question, aren't you being kind of told what they want to hear? You really don't have to think, oh, what do I want to say? All you have to do is answer the question. You go to a restaurant, and I love using this analogy for everything, but if you go to a restaurant, the entire night is impromptu speaking. We'd like to hear about our specials. Yes or no? Can I get you something to drink? Yes or no? What would you like? Open-ended. Do you think you would like to try one of our specials? Leading question. But each one of those, you are prepared for, even if you weren't prepared for it. Oh, what if they ask me if I want the special before I want something to drink, but I wanted my drink order first? What do I do? What do I do? Oh, that's humanity. It's not that hard. You're listening to the question, and you're giving an answer. Why do you think you're being asked a question? I don't know who you are, but if I asked you a question like, who are you? Why am I asking that?
Because you want to know.
Yeah. And if I ask you what 1 + 1 is,
2.
and why did I ask you?
Because you wanted to know.
And I thought you could provide the
Yeah,
answer.
yeah.
And better than anybody else in the room, he could tell me who he is. So who are you? I'm Tom. Who the hell
I'm
are you?
Alan.
Colin? Nice to meet you.
No,
Alan.
my name's Alan.
Okay. While listening is a great part of impromptu speaking. And I say that in not so much jest, because part of the fear that we have in answering a question is not actually answering the question. It's, did we hear the question right? Are we listening? If I start going on and asking a question, let's try this instead. Everybody got sheet of paper and pencil?
Yep.
Okay. Think about this. You're driving a bus. You're in Washington, D.C., it's rush hour. You've got 60 people on the bus, screaming babies, cranky businessmen who want to get home, women that just don't feel like wearing their heels anymore. Everybody's upset. You're driving, everybody's carping and carrying on, right? But you're driving the bus. You go down about 3 miles and you stop. 20 people get on, 8 people get off. You start the bus up again. You go down another 2 miles. You take 2 lefts, 3 rights, 4 lefts. Make a U-turn. You're back in Constitution Avenue. 8 more people get off. 6 more people get on. This is fine. And people are still screaming. There's all kinds of distraction. Life's going nuts. Then now the sun's setting. You got glare. It's awful. Now nobody wants to be there. The air conditioning goes off. It's the middle of summer, so now everybody's beginning to smell. It's a really miserable situation, right? Yeah. Who wants to be there? Not me. I don't. You want to be there? No push now. Okay. So you're driving down. You're going further and further. 3 more lefts, 2 more rights. 8 more people get on. 6 more people get off. Who's driving the bus?
I am.
Who's driving the bus?
The bus driver.
You. What was the first thing I said? You're driving a bus. That was the first thing I said. And you got so hung up in all the other theatrics and all the other crap, you didn't answer the question. It's like, oh my God, I got to keep track of all the people getting on. How many people got off? Did they turn left and right? How many miles did they get to this? How many, what road were we on? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But you didn't hear the question. Because you didn't get all the facts. You started spending so much time thinking about what could the question be, that you forgot to actually listen to what was being shared. That's the greatest concern with impromptu speaking. Did I catch the question with enough clarity to provide an intelligent answer? And the answer is usually no. Because we're listening to the wrong thing. And that was a great example. That was the easiest question you're ever going to get because it started with the information you needed. When you're asked a question, when do you know that a question is being asked? At the end. If you're reading a book, you see a line, you know it's a question because there's a question mark, right?
Yeah.
If I ask you a question, how do you know it's a question? The question mark at the end.
Yeah.
So when should you start formulating an answer to any question?
Once you know the question completely.
When you know what the question is. Okay, so how can we learn to be a little more intuitive into what a question could be? Simple. There are 3 types of questions. That's it. And there are essentially 8 words that are going to lead into a question. And when you hear one word, the other ones don't matter. Example. Do you want to hear tonight's specials? What type of question is that? It's a closed-ended question because it's got one answer, yes or no. Now I suppose a difficult person would say, I bet you Norman does it. Yeah, I don't know yet. Well, that's not helpful, Norman. Keep those answers to yourself. But it's a yes or no. It's a closed-ended question because the result is going to be exactly what it is, period, yes or no. You have an open-ended question. Tell me about your trip. Or can you tell me about your trip? What about your trip did you enjoy most? That's giving you an opportunity to provide a free-form answer. It's an open-ended question that you get to regurgitate anything you want to regurgitate. And then you have the leading question. Who is really good at using leading questions? Salesman. You got to buy a car. You know, young man, you look like you want to be a safe driver, and the only way you're going to be a safe driver is to buy one of these. And you want to be a safe driver, you've got to buy one of these, don't you? Don't you? You're sure you do. So they're leading you because you don't want to say, no, I want to be reckless. You don't want to be that guy. So they're leading you into the answer that they want. So that's why it's a leading question. Do you want to live a nice, long life?
Yes.
Don't eat meat. Go to Taco Bell. But that was the gist of Norman's thing. You want to be healthy, you want to preserve nature, eat GMO. So he's leading you to a thought process. Same thing with a question. I want you to answer in the affirmative. I want you to answer the way I want you to answer. I'm really, really hungry, and you look like you have a couple bucks. Please, maybe you can let me borrow $1? Dollar, mister? But I'm leading you down to the path I want you to take. Leading question. So those are essentially your 3 types of questions you're going to get. So how do you know what type of question you're going to get? Who, what, when, how, why, where, and rhetorical. Those are essentially the 7 types of questions you're ever going to get in your entire life. So I used to start by saying, in your whole life, how many questions do you think you're going to get asked? And people will say, oh, 300 million? That's like essentially 7. 8 if you count rhetorical. The contents of those questions will be different. However, the questions are going to be a who, what, when, how, why, or where. And if you know what each one of those words is looking for, you can answer it. If I ask you who is President of the United States? The answer is, excuse me, it's Donald Trump. It's a who. So any who question is going to be a name, an organization, a title. Who's in charge of the school? Oh, that would be the principal. Great. It would be Mr. Johnson, the principal. Actually, the principal here is James DeAndre. Great guy. My kids went here. But that's a who. So you hear who, you know that your answer is going to be what?
Person's name.
A name, organization, a title. What? What are you thinking? Probably not. That's not fair. I'm kidding. But if I ask Jeff, what are you thinking? What is your response? Okay, I can read your mind. You're thinking, please sit down and leave me alone. But besides that, if I ask you what are you doing? What are you thinking? What's the answer? What's 1 plus 1? 2. And the type of answer that is factual or informational based, right? So that's what you hear, a what, you're going to provide some facts, you're going to provide some simple information, plain and simple. Who, what, when. If I ask when, what's your answer going to be?
Time-based?
Time-based. When is summer? Noon on Thursday. Right after winter. Whatever the answer is, but it's always going to be a time-based answer. That's a great way to put it, man. Write that down. Because I need to remember that and not forget. But it's a time-based answer. So we got who, what, no, we haven't done, yeah, we did who. We did what, we did when, how. If I ask you how, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Juliet.
Juliet, you look like you want to play.
Sure.
Now, the natural question would be, how's Romeo? But that's too easy. But if I ask you, how did you and Romeo meet?
To give like an explanation.
It's a process. How do you tie your shoes? How do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? How do you get your hair to look so pretty? How do you get your tie so crisp? I tie double Windsor, but that's not another. But it's a process. A how is going to be a process. How do you arrive at that? Well, I did this, I did this, I did this, and it's a process. So we've got who, what, when, how, why. What's a why answer?
The reason for something.
It's an explanation, a justification. It could be thought-based, opinion-based, informational-based, but it's going to be exactly what you just said, which was?
Reason.
So it's who, what, where,
Place.
location. Now, there are some other questions, and I was talking to Monica about this the other day. Can I go to the bathroom? May I go to the bathroom? Neither of those questions have a who, what, when, how, or why, but they're just kind of intuitive. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on that, because if you hear a can you do something, you either can or you can't. So those are closed-end questions that don't require who, what, when, how, why, or where. Pretty simple. Let me ask you, is there a question I could possibly ask you that you can't answer?
Yes.
Ask me any question, and I will guarantee you I can answer it. Anything.
I want to play this game.
Sure you do.
No, I don't.
You do. I'm not feeling it. Young lady, ask me any question you want. Any question about anything. To give you an idea of what's open to you to ask, I did this once in a class, and a girl looked at me and said, what did I have for breakfast?
Ooh.
Something I would have no way of knowing, correct? I got it close. So ask me anything that comes to the top of your mind. You could ask me your mother's maiden name. You pick anything you want to ask me a question. And I guarantee I can answer the question.
What is
What is?
my birthday? My birthday?
What is your birthday? You know, that is a great question, and I don't know. Can I get back to you on that? Or maybe you could share the information if you know it, and that way we both know it. But that's the answer. The answer was, I have no idea, but let's find out together. Let me get back to you,